Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Sand to Sold. I am your host, Stuart Fournier.
And I am your co-host, Anastasia Bonholzer.
Good to see you.
Aha.
This is our very first broadcast, so I hope you will be patient with us as we muddle through our very first broadcast. Good to see you this morning, Anastasia. How are you?
I'm fantastic, Stuart. Beautiful weather here in the South Bay, so we're definitely blessed this week. Little temperamental last week, but this week is definitely why we live where we live.
Absolutely. And we're going to get into that in a few minutes. But just so everyone knows, the format of the show is that we're actually going to have a subject that we'll tear apart for a few minutes, which I'll mention in just a minute. But along the way, you are allowed to act with us, become interactive with us. If you have any questions or concerns, or you want to talk about anything related to real estate or real estate loans, of course, feel free to make a question in the comments section. We will see it on the screen and be able to show it. So let me turn down our first little mistake. I'll turn down the volume here on the music. There we go. Thank you, Anastasia. All right. So
Yeah.
a little bit of background on the two of us. I'm a 25-year veteran of the South Bay real estate world. I've been practicing since 2000. My wife and I, Randy, have been together for close to 15 years as partners, and we've dealt with all aspects of real estate when it comes to residential. So that's a very brief background on my experience. Anastasia, I'll let you take it over.
Yeah, and so I'm Anastasia. I am notably known as your loan queen in our sunny South Bay. I'm a mortgage broker, and I've been in the industry about 6 years. And before that, I was a civil litigation paralegal. So I bring a wealth of information when it comes to combining the very things that we need in lending, which is being specific, being accurate, being on time. And that's what I bring, combining my lending experience with my former legal experience. And I'm happy to be here.
Fantastic. So today, I wanted to talk about something that I saw Anastasia put on her Instagram Live the other day, and it had to do with credit reports. Now, most people's perception is that changing your actual credit score takes months, if not years. But Anastasia's video really caught my eye because she said that lenders have a tool that can do it in a matter of days. So I'm going to let her explain.
Yeah, most definitely. Thank you so much, Stuart. What a lot of people don't understand about credit is trifold. I mean, people come to me all the time thinking, I can't buy a home until I fix my credit. And my first question is, what is specifically wrong with your credit that you think needs to be fixed? And so most people assume that you actually need a 780, 760, even 740 or 700 FICO score to buy a home. That's actually not true. But if you do want to be in the upper ranges of the best interest rates available, it's better to have a better interest FICO score. So one of the tools that mortgage lenders have is what's called rapid rescore. We have an ability to give you basically it's a map. I pull your credit report, we identify what exactly is wrong with your credit, and if if the problem is because your revolving balances on your credit cards are too high, with the simple task of telling you which credit cards need to be brought down to which levels, and now we have basically identify an opportunity for you to get your score up. And recently I did it where the consumer's credit score went up 100 points in five
Wow,
business days.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
So, how how prepared does your client have to be to get this done?
So all they do is once I tell them, let's say your Amex has a $10,000 limit, you currently have a $6,000 revolving limit on there. Most people assume you have to have a revolving balance of zero in order for the credit to go up. It's essentially not true. There's a lot of algorithm involved, and we give you exactly what the credit what the actual balance needs to be to bring the credit up to where we need it to be for mortgage purposes. So
Right.
perhaps the fake assumption is I need to have zero balance on my cards to buy a home. No, maybe actually bringing that balance down to $4,500 will make the biggest difference in the credit. It might be the same whether you pay it down to zero or 4,500. So with a balance letter of now 4,500 from the creditor, the consumer gives that to me. I give it now to the three agencies, which is Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. and now they can do for a cost. This does cost money, a few $100s. They now can essentially turn it around, have you not wait 60 to 90 days for it to
Right.
naturally progress in the system.
Wow. And so what are some of these scores that you've seen translate into a much better rate?
Yeah.
And what are the, like, what's the maximum amount of score you could get on
Yeah,
something like
that's,
that?
it's hard to say what the maximum is. I think my biggest was recently when the consumer came to me wanting to get a house that is a jumbo loan. A jumbo loan means that the loan amount exceeded the conforming loan limits, which is 1,208,000 in Los Angeles County. In this case, we brought his credit score up. It was 96 points to be exact. And that allowed him to actually get the loan, period. Otherwise, his credit would have been too low. And we did tell him, here are the 4 credit cards that you need to buy down. And it cost him about 4,500. But at the end of the day, not only he could afford the mortgage, but he ended up saving about $5,000 in other loan related costs, which wouldn't have been available to him had we not brought him this fantastic idea.
Okay, so we have a question from Jimmy Watson. He says, can this be done without pulling a credit report?
So no, essentially, I need to pull the credit because when a mortgage broker pulls credits, we have our own different FICO measuring system. So when the consumers come to me and say, "What? I have a Credit Karma credit report. Can you use that to see what you can do with it?" No, the only way we can come up with this plan is if I pull the credit and we do everything through a soft credit pull. So initially, it actually does not negatively impact the credit whatsoever. There's no reason why somebody should wait to do this type of tool that I have at their disposal because we just don't need to wait. It's a soft credit pull, so it's a win-win regardless.
Great, great. Okay, so I want to thank Jim for asking a question on our very first broadcast. How exciting was that?
Yeah, look at that
Anybody
coming
else?
to you live.
Yeah, I love
Yeah,
it.
so the credit thing, I mean, it's the last thing I want to mention about credit is the most important thing that I can tell all of my consumers is to put everything on auto pay. One late payment on a credit card, any type of trade line, will negatively impact somebody's credit for 7 years. There's no reason why somebody needs to, at the very least, put their things on auto pay because missing that one payment can jeopardize their credit upwards of 100 points. So you don't want to go in the other
Right.
direction when trying to build your credit.
Right. I think the only apprehension for most people that, for example, are self-employed, wherein they get paychecks periodically rather than all the time. I think that's the biggest challenge for people that don't necessarily get a paycheck every 2 weeks. And
Yeah.
so that's being in the business that I am, that's the challenge I've always faced. But I have noticed slowly but surely the charges that I've allowed for auto pay, and I don't allow all of them, have in fact increased my credit score by about 40 points in the last year.
Yeah, yeah. Auto pay is key. I mean, it's essential. It's important to put some savings apart, especially if somebody is in a cyclical type of business, like a real estate agent, or it could be, I had recently I closed a transaction where it was a Christmas light, somebody who hangs Christmas lights, obviously a very seasonal
Season.
job. So he makes a
Right, right.
$120,000 in 2 months, and then nothing else for the rest of the year. So you need to just make sure you budget accordingly to make sure your credit cards are paid on time.
Oh, those
And
signs on the telephone poles are making more sense to me. If you can make $120,000 in a one season. Okay,
yeah, it's a
great.
lot of climbing, so get your ladder.
All right, so let's talk about the market a little bit. We're already 17 minutes. Again, just to reiterate, we are on live every Tuesday at 11 a.m. That's our goal. And if you have any questions or concerns about real estate transactions, about the market, about the loans, rate situation, please feel free to come on and ask us questions and have your friends and family also join us as well. This is going to be a lot of fun and we're really looking forward to it. So let's talk about the market a little bit. I will follow up with Anastasia. She has a obviously different point of view based on the clients that she's talked to. What do you think is going on? Let's talk specifically about the three beach cities.
Yeah, so I mean, what we're seeing is a lot more inventory. So my buyers are able to take a bigger gander at what's available. They're not settling anymore as they once were, and they're able to negotiate with some sellers a seller credit, which I can now apply towards financing. So the seller credits are becoming more and more common, and it's not unusual now for the seller to give up a little bit of their net profits in order to make sure the transaction is successful. Obviously, for the very well marked homes that are priced correctly, still a super hot market. We're seeing 20, 25 offers coming in. And the key to that is you need to work with local people in order to get your offer accepted. It's a very relational business here in the South Bay. We're in a bubble and we kind of love it.
Yes, we do. And that bubble's not going away
Yeah.
ever. I've been involved in that bubble for 25 years, so
Yeah.
trust me, it's here to stay. So one thing that I'd like to point out too is that people were actually a few weeks ago in sort of a wait and see mode because of all the tariffs, and so we did see beginning of the spring a lot of action sort of turn around after the fires. Of course, that was a variable by itself, unfortunately, but we did see some action related to that. But then when the tariffs came, we did see a drop in open houses, and the open houses really are an indication of how many people are actively wanting to go out there and buy a house. And so we did see a slump there, but I think that's all turned around now, which is typical of real estate. Even in the worst of times, people do wait for a while because of the headlines, but then within a month or two, everything changes and they're out there again. And I think Anastasia is absolutely right. We're seeing more demand. You know, the old story that if you underprice your house, you're going to get multiple offers is still true right now. So that tells us that, in fact, there are a lot of buyers out there still in the South Bay, and there's no shortage of it. We have one of the most tremendously diverse employment platforms in the United States in the basin of Los Angeles. And so that really relates to the competition amongst buyers. And buyers are out there waiting at certain periods based on headlines. You'll see that happen, but in the long run, they're still out there, and it's really cyclical, but cyclical in a sense that, you know, they're still there. They're not going anywhere. So that's going to do it for us, unless anyone has another question. Really appreciate you all coming on board and being with us on our inaugural broadcast. If you have any ideas for our broadcast, we've got plenty of them, so we're not short of them. But if you have any ideas that you'd like us to discuss, we're happy to get into that and tear it apart for you.
Yeah, and we're going to be here every Tuesday at 11 a.m. and it's going to be a quick little update, 15 minutes. We don't want to take away too much time of your day, but right now, being part of your local community is important to us. So we want to answer all the questions that you may have. And, no question is not going to be unanswered. So if there's hot button questions that you want to throw our way, you can also email us and we'll have that contact information as well for you.
Okay, so we were about to go off the air, but I got another question from Nia, and Nia says or asked, do you recommend buyers get a pre-approval letter before starting the home search? I think that's an easy one,
Yes.
but go for it.
Yeah, that's an easy one. I mean, why would you, as a buyer, I'm thinking from my perspective, if I'm out there shopping and I'm looking at pretty homes on Zillow, wouldn't I want to know what I can afford and what that mortgage payment would be? Because the last thing you would want is fall in love with a home that you cannot afford, or you think the mortgage payment is just outside of your budget. So pre-approval is essential. The pre-approval is what will be needed for an agent in order for Stuart to do his job. He needs to know what the budget is. I mean, the pre-approval is literally step one to the process, and it's not too early to start the pre-approval as well.
One thing I'd like to add to that too is that, I tell my clients I really don't need to know their finances. It's not something that as realtors we necessarily have to get involved with unless there's a problem related to our loan representative and we need to tear things apart. But for the most part, when we are out shopping with you, we don't necessarily, as realtors, know your finances, nor should we. So the responsible thing to do is to go to step one, to go to someone like Anastasia and make sure that the realtor feels good about the fact that you can't afford this, because we cannot and will not, for a long time now, provide an offer without some kind of loan letter or backing. And of course, pre-approval is much, much better than pre-qualified. We'll talk about that at another time. Alrighty,
Yeah,
so that
most
does it.
definitely. Thank you so much, Nia.
Thank you, Nia. Yeah. So anyway, that does it for us this time. We'll let you go, and we'll see you 11 a.m. next Tuesday, everyone. Thanks again for joining.